So at this point, I have an Ubuntu 16.04 server install with just the MPC files and the MPC Docker files in a separate directory. I've made the MyPetCloud script executable, so I can call it. MPC has basically been installed, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to install the reverse proxy server. So it's just a /mypetcloud, your server password, and then first thing to do is we have to generate DH params for the Let's Encrypt web server, or I should say Nginx, and we'll do that. It is installed. All I have to do now is regenerate the configurations. Now, just very much hope that this is there. It is. Very good. Now we get to the exciting part, actually installing applications. So we'll do that real fast. We're going to install some throwaway applications. Nextcloud is a nice one to install. We'll do that one. This is just a license agreement. It's really, it's more for developers than it is for users, but I put it in there anyway just to be nice. So I agree, and then call my bin user. Install both of these and support containers. Nextcloud and internet restricted site. Oh, no. Okay, now we're going to expose the secrets to the whole wide world. Why? Because this thing is going to be thrown away when I'm done with it. So these are all random passwords. So we have to just do this. And enter my name, enter my password, log in, update password. I don't need those stuff. Okay, now that is done. Now I'll go OK, and then do some stuff and then get some instructions. Please note that because full text search is still in beta, the installation cannot be totally automatic. Follow the instructions. To activate full text searching in Nextcloud, find the gear at the top right. Alright, and go and select apps. Go to the search near the bottom left. Activate full text search, Elasticsearch platform files, and then just the text search. So, okay, I need to enable that. Need to enable that. I need to enable that. After that, come back here and press OK. And it does its thing. Colabora has been installed. However, if you get the message unauthorized WAPI host, please try again and report to your administrator if the issue persists. Then close your Nextcloud window and restart the Docker search by main menu. Okay. So then we'll go back into Nextcloud. And then go into Documents, which is one of these is a Colabora file. Apparently works without complaining, which is a good thing. We go into language, change that to, it defaults for Germany for some reason, but you can just simply say language for all text, English, USA, and then you only have to do that once. So I'll just like save this. I'll go back. I'll create a new text document. Go in there, and I'll write some. I'll just say, all right, MyPetCloud is a good. Made a liar out of me. It still thinks these are wrong. So go in there, language for all text. I guess you have to do it every time. Okay, it's minor inconvenience. So it's got full text searching capability, so you can do stuff like you can type in a query like where would reinstall be found? No, nothing. How about install? It references the manual, so it has to be reindexed periodically. Okay, so that's Nextcloud, nextcloud.fleeble.com. Now I'm going to install a more interesting app. I'm going to install UPHPTube. Okay, the do-gooder license, don't do anything evil with it. You know, I like that license, kind of. I don't intend on, you know, defending this license, but I don't know. So this is the JSON license. You can scroll down. You can don't use it for evil. It's kind of weird license, but I don't disagree with it. I think UPHPTube could be, you know, capable of great evil if it was used for the wrong thing. So it's really idealistic. You know, it would be nice if our software wasn't used for evil purposes, but I don't dislike the license. I just hope it's all I hope is that it is defendable. That's all. It might not be. So I'm going to say I agree to the license. This is okay. So this is nonsense. You don't have to put anything here. Actually, this is actually determined by the installer. I have to fix that. So encoder live streamer, that pretty much settles most of it. There's still other things to do, like a chat server and maybe some polishing and maybe better help instructions. So UPHPTube and support containers requires at least 950 megs RAM. That is certainly not true. I discovered it uses way less memory than that, so I have to update that in my module. You want to make UPHPTube an internet related site? Nah. Let's see here. That's a good sign. Okay. This isn't explained in the instructions, but what I have to do is change that to HTTPS, change the title, whatever, that's fine. Give me my email address. Change the localhost is no longer the database host. This is crucial. So set localhost to be DB instead. And then we need the root database user password, which is the root this thing. Just copy that, paste it in. Database name is fine. Don't change it. And then give it your administration password. Recommend use the long password because it's stronger. And congratulations, update password, and go. It gives you this errors. I don't know what this is about, but it seems to be working correctly. All right, and now I want to set up live streaming, and I just go into the hamburger menu, sign in. Sign in with the new password, update all, and then go to plugins, and then live, or live chat, live, okay. And then go to edit parameters, and then simply change this, all of these, to, whoops, live.google.com. This might be automatable in the future, but at this time it's still kind of early, kind of. Okay, save the changes, and then after doing that, go to here, install tables. Okay, now go to UPHP-tube, the live button, and we'll open Open Broadcaster to send it a stream. And I just got to go into Open Broadcaster Preferences, give it the secrets information, which is going to be gone here soon. Give it this, and then the stream key. And then OK, and then start streaming, and it says it's going. It'll take a little while for it to show up. Let's see how it goes, right? I'll just wait. I'll wait. It takes a little bit while for it to queue up. If you hit play too early, it just does this spinny thing. So I just reload the page, and no. There we go. Finally. It's streaming aliens. Now I wanted to say listed transmission. There's a spelling error there, by the way. And then save stream, I guess. And then when I go to UPHP-tube, you don't see anything here yet. That's kind of a flaw of UPHP-tube, but that can be fixed easily. The live stream now lives in this little thing here, and you hit play, and voila, it's in there. So live streaming accomplished in just a matter of seconds. Now we have to go encode some videos. So I'm going to go encoder.google.com. Now we have to set this up. So HTTPS DB database password database, and then of course the streaming site. Just copy this for the heck of it. So it sends it. It's like using the right site. You want to do that, obviously. And then the admin password. And then submit. Congratulations, it's installed. Give me some errors, which I don't understand. I'll do admin password uphp2fleetwood.com. Sign in. Now I can start encoding files. So I am going to just encode a couple of files just to show you how it works. The movies. I'll just send up a really small one. The window one would be fine. Do window product animations. Drop that in there. And then refresh. As I refresh it sometimes, it shows it encoding. Okay, now the encoding is done. In the Q log, it should be empty. And when I go back to UPHP-tube, there it is. Play it.
Over the years, it has become fashionable to describe some glazing systems as what.
So there's the video. So there's some other things to show that are kind of cool. I'll go into, well, I'll log in. Okay, and then I'll go to the encoder through just the menu there. Okay, now another cool thing that this UPHP-tube encoder can do is draw videos from YouTube. So I'll go to YouTube. and I'll download the soundtrack suite would be fine. I'll just
And music.
alright. So all I gotta do is go to UPHP-tube and the encoder.youtube. Oops, wrong one. Encoder.fleeble.com. We want that. So under for web, yeah, encoder.uphp-tube.com would be bad. We don't want that. Okay, so share. It uses YouTube DL to parse the web page and grab the file. Isn't that nice? All automatically. And it grabs the file and all of its metadata. It says encoding. Sometimes it doesn't give you feedback, sometimes it does, but it always shows feedback under the Q log. When under this menu, sometimes it doesn't. So like, you have to refresh sometimes for you to see feedback. Now this thing will just kind of crawl across the bar. It does 3 different qualities. The only way to take advantage of all 3 qualities is to use a plugin. That's like $5, not an unreasonable cost, I think. But I think when I set up my UPHP tube encoder, even though I own the plugin, I think I might just resort to just encoding one quality, like medium quality, just because it saves a lot of space on hard drives and it's cheaper on a VPS to store just one quality than 3. And I don't really see too many advantages in storing a low quality, or really even high quality, because 720p is pretty darn good resolution, I think. Now, sometimes if you encounter problems with the encoder and you're wondering what in the world is going on, it is possible to find out with MyPetCloud. You can go into MyPetCloud. This isn't really a problem very often, but if you have a big file or an unusual file and you don't know if it's really encoding or not, it might say it's encoding, but it may not. There's a menu item in here called Get Stats, which runs a certain Docker command, which will tell you what container is using what amount of resources. So the encoder is using 230%. That's like basically 2.25 cores basically of CPU, and it's using 94 megs. And as you can see, it's using a heck of a lot less than 900 megabytes or 950. So it's 94 for the encoder, 36 for UPHP tube, and the live streamer is only using 10 megabytes. And it should be there now. And it is. I don't think we'll have any audio in this video for it, but the time is correct. Usually, if you have a problem with the encoding, you get a time like EE, and that signifies that the file wasn't transferred over. Like you can go into your FTP program. I'll do that real fast to show you what it's like. So here's my FTP program. I'll just go to connect to MyPet. Okay, so this is the MyPetCloud server on my virtual machine in my network. This is looking at, whoops, that's not the remote site. Whoops, I'm on the wrong site. So I'm going to go to MyPetCloud. Okay, connecting to it via a private key. Oops. Oh, I see why. Well, let's see here. Maybe a okay, no. What instead we should do? Change my password. Okay, maybe it needs. Actually, it shouldn't just Ohio VR. It shouldn't be a password because it should be a key base. And there it is. Great. All right. Plenty of confusion, right? Okay, so this is the Ohio VR home directory. This just contains the the MPCCloud source and all kinds of other junk. And then that's where all the goodies are executed. You probably will only need MPC user password and specialized things. Haven't really needed it yet, but I thought I'd save it. The MPC user has limited powers. It has no shell. It has no login ability. All it can do is run. It's non-root. It's non-SS. It's non-sudo user and doesn't have any administrative privileges. It's basically a plain vanilla user. Don't give it any privileges. The reason for that is it's because all the software runs as MPC user usually. You don't want it to run as a different user. So under the MPC user home directory is some folders. Prefs is when you set the initial values for MPC, it goes into the prefs folder, and it's really the only thing that's saved is the only prefs that is really modified is the main prefs, and you have to change the other ones. You can, but it's really not recommended that you do so. That's just there as options if you have to. I can't imagine why you would, but there it is. So, and then under deployed apps is where we'll find the data and all the persistent values and data and databases for the programs. So like each application has its own folder. UPHPTube has video streamer is like the only, at this time, there's only one folder that saves persistent information right now, and that's the streamer folder for the streamer and the encoder folder for the encoder. And then there's a database that lives between the two. And then the live configuration, which is for the live streamer. The live configuration is just the basic configuration that's been slightly customized for the purpose of live streaming. So under like the streamer, this is where all the videos live, and you can see some of them are kind of big, 57 megabytes and so on. And then under encoder, there's usually just a login configuration and some temp files. I noticed that this folder got a lot better managed recently. It used to just kind of collect junk after a while, but now it's like nice and clean all the time. I'm really happy about that. And then the Nginx configuration for the live streamer. That has all the RTMP information and ports and kind of stuff like that. And then under Nextcloud, this has all the data for Nextcloud's users and the database and data and all that stuff. It's under here. Under each different, like there's a Scott user, and under Scott there's the files, and this looks just like, you can transfer files to this and whatever. You can use object storage if you want for that to save money if you're not wanting to store it all in a VPS. Okay, so there is that. You can like if you want to like just read a log off of your or search a huge log on your workstation and you're too lazy to figure it out how to do it on your on your server with a text editor there, you can just go into UPHPTube, and then like the encoder, we'll just transfer that over here, and then the log is transferred and you can look at it. I'll get my cat out of here. Okay. And so there's that. I'll do some more things. Well, let's see if that file is done transferring. Oh yeah, that's done. Okay, duh. And so now the cool thing about having all those files for the applications all condensed into one folder is it makes it very easy to back up. And I also have in those folders the Docker Compose files, which is responsible for constructing the whole thing, and that makes things really easy to handle. So if I go under the I'll just go into the MyPetCloud thing, and I'll just demonstrate. I'm going to just say backup application. I'll just back up UPHPTube. Do you want to write some notes? Okay, I'll call this demo backup application, and I'll save the notes for the backup. Do you want to encrypt your backup with a password? I can do that, but I'm not going to. Or yes, sure, what the hell, I'll do it. Certainly wouldn't want to get that wrong. Oh, great. I think what is happening here is I didn't copy the key. It's asking for passwords a whole bunch of times. That's not right. It shouldn't do that. So what I'm going to do is SSH copy. Come on, copy ID. Okay. For some reason I forgot to do this. Now, if I go back, so this is important. You have to you want to copy your login key to your key to your backup user. You should have a backup users on a workstation somewhere with an SSH access to it, so that it has limited privileges, so it won't affect your workstation or your production environment or all your sensitive files. Everything's contained in one area. And if you have it all encrypted, if you want to do it that way, then it'll be basically secure. Even if your files were breached, there would be no way to get the information out of it because they're encrypted. But I'm not that paranoid at this time, and this is all in my homeland, so I'm not going to bother with that yet. So let's do this again. We'll do backup application, uphp2, some notes. Okay, call this. Okay, do you want to encrypt? Yes. Now it doesn't ask for a million passwords all the time. It may ask for another one to do the notes, because it does notes in a separate transfer. Okay, there we go. Now we go to just uphp2. Okay, now we're going to basically erase uphp2 completely. And we'll go to all the way to the very bottom here. Remove application uphp2. Do you want to delete and all of this volume data? Yes. Goodbye. See you later. Okay, now I'll go back to uphp2, and it says site unavailable. Like the back end has been removed and it's been replaced with a directory called with this file. That simply says site unavailable on it, just to preserve the web server. And then you go, let's see, go to FileZilla, and then we go to Site Manager. As you can, okay, so then as you see, under deployed apps, we only see Nextcloud anymore. My uphp2 has been erased from the sands of time. So then we'll put it back. We'll just go into MyPetCloud again. We'll do restore application. The first, it's listed in reverse chronological order. So the most recent file is the top file is the most recent. And we'll just go in there. When expanded, it'll be the 300 some megs. And then, yes, it'll be erased if there is one. It's kind of ambiguous. Is your archive encrypted? Yes. And if we're lucky, the encryption password is the same. Apparently it worked. One of the great things about this backup, I have to mention, is that it streams the backup over SSH. So let's say you have a 40 gigabyte as VPS, and 39 gigabytes of it is free, or is empty. I mean, 39% of it, 39 gigabytes of 40 is full, and then like you can't make a a tar file and put it on the disk, then transfer it. So I figured out a way of transferring it to the remote server at the same time it's building it, so it streams it. So, it doesn't require any additional space really, because it's sending all those files through the network. Something a friend of mine taught me. It's really, really cool. I haven't seen this in other systems. Another good reason to do it through SSH is the backup system is perfectly secure. Not only is it over SSH, which is already very secure, it can be encrypted, which can be even better. So now it's done. We go in here, and there it is again. So it's got all our goodies. NextCloud has an amazing array of apps, including it's like you can do. Let me just do. You can do. It's got like an audio player. It's got chat and radio. I actually really like the radio. It has a lot of really interesting channels from Europe. It's kind of a basic application, but it's kind of cool. Then every time you add an app, it shows up here at the top. Here's the radio button. Oh, that's a radio button, right? That's funny. Okay, and then we got all this stuff in here. So that's kind of cool. And but it has more advanced apps than that. Obviously, it has like security. You can do two-factor authentication, and also there's so much to know about NextCloud that it would take probably a whole hour worth of video to explain all the cool stuff it could do. Like has secure chat, and it can be fully end-to-end encrypted if you like. I'm still working on like back-end encryption. I think I was avoiding doing that, but it's not hard to do. I think I'll do it just because it should be done. Where is that? Social and communication. Here we go. It has mail. It has a mail application, which people say is really good. It has ratings for the apps, which is nice. I use this, the Talk app, just experimentally. I haven't done anything with it. The only thing I don't like about Talk is that it doesn't give you notifications for every message. So I can see some people would not like notifications on every message, but it would be great if it were an option or a default option, because it's kind of needed. Otherwise, you could go for days without talking to someone. It's it's good to have a notification, I think. I just wonder how hard it would be to do it. It has partial notifications now, so I don't know what the issue is. So that's all the apps I have. I have other apps. I have Lychee, which is another in-demand photo sharing application. It's super great for full text searches. So when you make a description of the image, the full text search finds it. And I've been using that as a way of finding my things. I would put all my cables and knick-knack things in little plastic shoe boxes, and then I can use full text search to find what item is where. So if I do a search for mini USB cable, it will show me it's on box 12 in my closet, and that way I can pinpoint something in just seconds instead of having to pray to God I can remember where the heck I put stuff, because I have so many little knickknacks and doodads, electronic gizmos and stuff, and it's great to keep it all together. And then, of course, Gogs. Boy, is Gogs nice to have. Gogs is like your own private GitHub repository. It looks very similar to GitHub. It has some of the similar features, though maybe not as advanced. It can do things like issue tracking and basically viewing source and changes to source. And it has many of the same things. I've been using my GitHub repo now for the last... two months I think it's been. One of the cool things about MyPetCloud is that it's very easy to set an application to be available only to your local area network, all you have to do is go into the main preferences and set your LAN's IP address. If your IP address changes a lot, this won't be very practical, but mine happens to change very rarely. I think my IP address changes only when I force it to change. I'm pretty lucky, and I don't have any special services. But I could change, you know. It's just good to have that capability. It's like if you had a business class internet and had a solid IP all the time, this could be really useful. Let's say you had sensitive information. You know, you can have passwords and stuff, but an additional layer of security is basically blocking out anyone who doesn't have your internal IP address. That keeps a lot of riffraff out. I don't know how that could be defeated. I'm sure it could be somehow, but it's not easy. I've even had the problem not trying to break it. I have VPS, or I had a VPS on my LAN, or a VPN on my LAN, and I was trying to get in as a LAN user, and no matter what I did, I could not fool it into thinking I had my LAN's IP address. So it blocked me out, and there wasn't much I could do. This is just a list of applications that will be there. The ones that have descriptions are already enabled. UPHP-tube is enabled, but it's kind of alpha at this point, and there'll be their basics like Rocket Chat. A lot of these are going to be very easy to do. UPHP-tube was one of the most challenging because I didn't have much to work with. I had to figure a lot of it out myself. But a lot of these are really easy. And I think I could probably accomplish some of these in just a day or two. But I'm not going to work on this stuff until I get more of my issues completed with MyPetCloud. But I do intend on having maybe up to 30 different services before its launch, so that it attracts enough people to it, and more, the more applications I have, the more credible it is as a developing platform, because it's like, all right, so you actually got some good applications done, and you've made stuff in the you've got the code in there that handles all these advanced scenarios. So I think maybe my little lamp stack should do okay on this. All I have to do is basically clone this and diddle with that and put it in there, and then send me the module file. Everything is condensed into modules, so all these applications fit into a single text file in their overall definition. What I need to do, though, is create a templating system so that you can spawn multiple of the same thing. You could spawn multiple Nextclouds if you wanted to, or multiple UPHP tubes, or multiple WordPresses, that kind of thing. It's really, I think, kind of necessary. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And, okay, so there's that. And so there's the reverse proxy menu. It does the reverse proxy stuff. It has some other diagnostics in here. Like you can do, you can go into, you can shell into a container, and let's say if you wanted to see what's happening inside of a container, you can go into like the encoder. You can say, well, what's the files, or how's the process doing? It says this is what's going on inside of it. And then you can exit that, and then you can go in to read the logs. So we'll go in there and say, where is that? Read application logs. You do that for UPHP-tube, and this is like all the logs for UPHP-tube. And let's see if we got any bad people trying to connect. I saw some suspicious stuff in one of these recently. I think it was I can't remember what it was. That doesn't look too bad. That looks pretty good. So each module has its own, or each container has its own color. So the live streamer container has a green color. The UPHP tube is just yellow. and display secrets. This just makes it. This is like a shortcut, really. This doesn't do anything special. But if you go into display secrets, and then UPHP2, it'll show you like the setup file. It's good to always use these values, because if you don't, you run the risk of forgetting what the password is. This is stored as the root user, and it's, you have to have the root user password to get in, and you can't even get into SSH unless you have the private key. If you've set up your system correctly, you should not allow password entry. You should always make it so that your entry is key based only, so that no one else can get in. The only way to get in is to have the key, and then when you're in, the only way to do anything, including read the secrets, is to have the root password so that you can sudo into it and sudo get that. So I wouldn't say it's like perfectly secure or anything. It's not, but it's at least a little bit more difficult than a lot of things would be. Okay, another thing which is, I think, really great and seems to be lacking in some other solutions is you can turn services on and off. Like, I want to say, let's say UPHP2 was under attack, and I just didn't want, and I wanted to keep the other stuff running okay. While it was like, okay, so while it's under attack, or while I'm upgrading it or doing something to it, I can say set application disabled, set UPHP2 disabled, and it'll say it'll give me a 403 error, or 503 error. I mean, yeah, 502 error, bad gateway. It just means the back end is non-functioning. And it says UPHP2 has been disabled. If I go in here and just make it enabled again, it'll start up the containers and everything is good. So hasn't failed me. It hasn't been the quintessential demo that fails during the presentation, so that's good. And then there's edit application setup file. There's some options you can set. If you want to set it to be intranet only, I can't demonstrate this without a camera and my phone, but you could set it to be intranet true, and then you will not be able to access it outside of your LAN. It just says forbidden. I think 403 forbidden when you do that. And there's, there's another thing to show, which is really cool, and that is you can go in there and change the Docker Compose file. Let's say you wanted to upgrade your installation. What you could do is you could say change the image tag to 11 instead of 10. I don't know if there's 11 yet or not. And every time that, sometimes when they're set up like these are, every time they're upgraded, they're rebuilt from scratch. It takes not usually all from scratch. Sometimes it keeps some of it and I have to rebuild everything. But some of it has to be rebuilt every time, and that gives you a nice, fresh, secure, nice, fresh file. I don't know if it's secure or not, but newer at least. And so it's like, it looks. This is the context is just where the source code for the Docker file lives, and then the Docker file to encode to compile, and then the volumes and the ports and basically all that standard issue stuff. So in order to upgrade the application after you've made your changes, just go to Upgrade Application, select your application. It will do a little song and dance. It'll go through the compiling phase. What it did is it said, oh, there's nothing that's changed, so we're not going to redo anything. So it only took a few seconds, whereas doing it from scratch or changing something major could take a while to do. Now the application has been, the upgrade sequence has been done, although there hasn't been any upgrade process to do to it. But that was one of the questions, like, how do you upgrade it? I've got that figured out now. So backing up, upgrading, turning off, on, and then doing maintenance operations on it. There's still a lot to do. The menus are terrible at this time, I realize that. But I'm going to get that fixed sometime after I get my life figured out. So that's pretty much it for this demonstration. I hope you enjoyed it.